All right. Well, good evening, or more like good morning. It is 1:05 in the morning here in Western Kentucky. Hope everybody's doing good. This is the first episode that I am recording called Grizzly's Cave. For those of you that may give this a listen to on Spotify, I am very new to the world of podcasting. So just bear with me on that. Um, the subject topic says performing arts, but it's going to be a wide variety of things. One of my many passions in life is professional wrestling. I've been a fan of it for over 30 years. Um, got first introduced to it, I guess I want to say around 1990, maybe 91. I remember my father, he was watching it on TV. He always liked sitting in his recliner, um, had the footrest propped up, had a remote control in one hand. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was an episode of WWF Primetime back when it aired on the USA Network. And he would flip between that and WCW. We'd watch WCW Saturday night and whatever other broadcasts they had. So sometimes it'd be bouncing back and forth. Also, we'll talk about, I may talk about TV shows or movies or just whatever, basically, like I said in my intro, whatever I'm in the mood for. This episode is actually going to center around Cobra Kai. I know there are a lot of fans out there, and I'm sure a lot of you all are like me, bummed out that the show has come to an end. I was waiting in it, me and my oldest daughter, she's 12 years old. We've been waiting in anticipation for a while. Oh, heck, ever since 2022, after season 5 had come out, we had been waiting in anticipation for the newest season. And then when we got the news that it was going to be split into 3 parts, 5 episodes apiece, we were like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And I gotta say, it was definitely worth the wait. I'm sure, like a lot of you all, I was a fan of the original Karate Kid movies. It's ironic, though, it came out in the 80s. I really didn't watch the movies until, this is kind of embarrassing, but 2008. So I was 22 years old. I had bought there was a four disc DVD set, had the original three with Ralph Macchio and the late Pat Morita. And then it also had the next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank. I had actually seen the next Karate Kid back in the 90s when it had come out. Of course, back then, you could watch, excuse me, you could watch Showtime, HBO, Cinemax. We had all those movie channels on basic cable television. And I know, let's see, next Karate Kid came out in 94. And so basically from 95 up to through 97, 98, it was always being shown on the those movie channels. But anyways, I digress. So 2008, I bought the DVD set and I started watching it. And within a snap of a finger, I was hooked on it. I was like, dang, this is an, you know, this is just watching the first movie. This is incredible. But at the same time, it's like, gosh, dang it, you feel bad for Daniel LaRusso. He's a new kid that moved to California from Jersey with his mother. His father had passed away, and he had a rough growing up. He lived in him and his mother moved, into that apartment complex that was really run down over in Reseda. I'm not sure. I don't know about any of you all, but I've personally never been to California. Hell, I've barely left the state of Kentucky, and I'm almost 40 years old. But that is on my bucket list is to do some traveling, and if I do some traveling, I would like to go to California and go check out LA. But watching the Karate Kid, I connected with the character of Daniel because I was bullied growing up as well. Give you all a little bit of a backstory on me. I'm from a small town in Kentucky called Princeton, population like 7,000. I lived there from 85 until 97. Me and my mother moved to a city called Hopkinsville, which is about 4 times the size of Princeton. Her and my father had already been divorced for about 4 years at this point when we moved. And folks, I got to tell you, I don't know about you all, but for me, it was scary. It was frightening and intimidating going to a new city, leaving your friends behind, having to start over. And I got to tell you, it sucked. I was put into a Christian school called Heritage Christian Academy. Now, I'm not going to knock on the school. I didn't exactly have it the best there, but my brother, who is about 12 and a half years younger than me, he had a much different experience, and it was a lot better for him than it was for me. I didn't even graduate from that school. I went there all 3 years of middle school, all the way through halfway into my sophomore year. And you think you go into a Christian school, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be, it'll be much better than the public school system, etc. Oh, no. You find out pretty quick there's bullies everywhere. And I was bullied. I was the new kid. I did my homework. I made good grades. Stayed out of trouble. And a lot of the kids there came from money. I didn't. Not say, oh, I didn't grow up poor, but I come from a blue collar family on both sides. Sorry about that, folks. Let me just exit out of that. Anyways, sorry for that glitch. But anyways, I come from a blue collar family. My father, he worked for 40 years on the railroad for Paducah and Louisville Railroad, and my mother, she worked in worked for different areas of the medical field. She's not a doctor or a nurse, but she worked in nursing homes. She worked at hospitals. She's worked in doctors' offices. She's currently working in a hospital right now, and her and my dad both, even though they weren't married, um, they did the best they could to support me, and they made sure that I had what I needed. But anyways, I was bullied a lot at my high school, well, middle school and part of my high school, and it sucks. Um, those of you that might be listening, um, if you're dealing with bullying right now, bullying will never stop. It sucks. Um, it's definitely an experience no one should ever have to go through. I mentioned earlier that I have my oldest daughter's 12. She deals with bullying at her middle school as well. But one thing I'll say is this: don't ever be afraid to stand up to your bullies. Don't ever back down. God forbid you get into a physical altercation with one. There's a chance you may come out on top. There may be a chance that you'll lose. But don't ever be afraid to stand up for yourself. Never be afraid to stand up for yourself and fight back, because eventually the bullies will respect you and then they'll know to leave you alone. Um, But anyways, let's fast forward to me watching these movies. It brought up those memories, and keep in mind, I'm in college whenever I see these movies. Thank God I didn't really have to deal with that because by this point, I'd been working out for about 5 years and built my body up, so I didn't really have to deal with a lot of physical bullying or anything like that. Occasionally, you deal with those that verbally or mentally bully you. Cyberbullying really wasn't a thing back then, but it was on the verge of coming into existence. But I connected with the character of Daniel LaRusso. And, one of the things that's crazy is that whenever he found a father figure in Mr. Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi never had any children. Well, he, let me backtrack here. His late wife was pregnant, but there were complications in childbirth. But he never had any living children during the time of the movies. But he treated Daniel like his son. And, excuse me right quick. Again, sorry about that. So, anyways, um, yeah, it definitely sucks. But he taught Daniel karate. He only trained for like 6 weeks for the All Valley tournament. He faced his bullies. He came out on top. Um, Wound up going in, and whenever after I watched that, I was like, okay, definitely got to watch the second one. And I don't know about you all, but um, the second movie, um, when they go to Okinawa, and then you get a little bit more backstory on Mr. Miyagi, and you learn a little bit more about why he always said fighting was not good. Um, the second movie is my all-time favorite. I thought it had a really good storyline. Um, you know, uh, Daniel winds coming across another bully um, who just so happens to know Miyagi-Do karate because he was taught by Miyagi's old friend Sato, and coincidentally, Sato was taught by Miyagi's father. And a couple of things about that movie really spoke to me. It's never good to hold on to grudges and to hate, especially for 40 plus years. Um, some people would say hate is a hell of a motivator, and in true, it's very true. It is hell of a motivator. God knows I've used anger and hate to give me fuel and adrenaline whenever I go do my workouts. Um, but anyways, I digress. Third movie, I didn't really care for it that much. It really wasn't my favorite. Um, Not really a lot to say about. I don't really have a lot to say about that movie. But then we go on to the fourth one where like I said, you see Hilary Swank, and I believe the plan was, which as a kid I didn't know this, but as an adult I'd found out that I think they were planning on doing like another trilogy with her being as the next Karate Kid, but um, obviously that didn't happen. So we'll fast forward to 2018 when Cobra Kai first come out. It was, I think you could stream it on YouTube Red. I know when I first saw it, I was able to watch first couple of episodes for free on YouTube. I never did get a subscription, and kept seeing advertisements for it and everything. And I'd heard it had become pretty popular. Well, then we go to let's see. So that was 2018. Fast forward to 2022, and I decided to get with the times. I had a DVR for several years through DirecTV, and my wife at the time, me and her had discussed about getting rid of the DirecTV and streaming because I'd heard a lot about Roku. I'd heard about the Fire Stick and all that. I'd actually heard of a Roku through a buddy of mine that lives in Madisonville who's a big wrestling fan like I am. And we used to watch the pay-per-views on the WWE network through his Roku. But and anytime I'd go to Walmart and the electronics, I'd see Roku this, Roku that, and I was like, well, internet might be a little bit cheaper. A lot of our shows we like to watch are on these apps like Netflix, Discover Plus, Disney Plus. I already had a Disney Plus and a Netflix and all that, and I'd heard Cobra Kai was on Netflix, and at that time they'd already had the first four seasons out. So summer of 2022, I started watching the show again, and I decided to start it from the first episode and move onward. And one of the things I liked about Cobra Kai is it starts off with what happened in the All Valley from the first Karate Kid movie, and um, and then obviously after Johnny lost that fight, then it shows where he's at so many years later, and it was you kind of see how the roles are reversed and stuff. He's living in Reseda now, whereas in Karate Kid One, and you know, with all due respect, Karate Kid Two, because him and his Cobra Kai buddies, they did have a small cameo in the second film. Um, he had grown up in the hills or over in Encino, and the tides have turned, and then you see that he's working all these odd jobs, and I'm not against working odd jobs. My stepfather's self-employed, and I'm gonna give him a shout. I'm gonna give him a big shout out. Great man, hard worker. He taught me quite a bit. Um, some things I do, like odd jobs or handyman stuff at my house, I owe it all to him. Same thing with doing, some basic maintenance on my vehicles. He taught me all that growing up. He's actually been married to my mom. Um, they actually just celebrated their uh, let's see, 30, 31 years, I believe. No, I'm sorry, not 31 years. My bad. Sorry, my math sucks. The older I get, the more I lose my mind. Let's see, 27 years. My bad. They got married the day after my birthday in December of '97. But anyways, I digress again. One thing you folks ought to know about me is my I don't think I've ever been diagnosed with ADHD, but I think it's possible I may have it. Um, with that being said, um, you see Johnny working all these odd jobs. Then we get to the scene where apparently he hung the TV in the wrong spot, and um, I won't. Basically the woman chews him out, verbally berates him, and I gotta say, for the most part, he kept his cool. So props to him on that. Um, but then he winds up getting fired because he told her to quit bitching at him, and then unfortunately gets fired, and then he winds up going to that convenience store over in Reseda and gets him a slice of pizza, and he bumps into Miguel again, Miguel Diaz. Um, who would have at that time I didn't think when I was watching the show I didn't think he was going to be that that series is a Karate Kid basically, and for all y'all that have watched the show or binge watched it like I have, I mean, you all know the story. Long story short, he starts training Miguel in karate, reopens Cobra Kai, and we wound up getting 6 seasons of a really awesome show. I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't mark out when I saw, Martin Cove coming back as Kreese, Daniel LaRusso coming back, um, seeing Chosen Taguchi and then Kumiko and Daniel's mom Lucille, everybody from the original movies. I mean, it was just an incredible thing to behold. And the long-awaited return of Terry Silver. I really thought when Silver was brought back in season 4, at first I thought he was actually going to be the good guy, and then you know, I'm going to throw a little Star Wars reference, and then Kreese brought him back to the dark side, and just so many storylines happened within this show, and it's just like whenever the seasons would end, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what's next? What's about to happen with the next season? Is it going to be as incredible and awesome, or is it going to be a letdown? I know I had heard, and I'm sure you all have heard too, that after the second season had ended, um, I think they were going to end it with that, but then that's when Netflix wound up picking up the series, and I gotta say, I'm really glad they did pick up the series because that would have been a major cliffhanger to end the show on. But I know they say all good things must come to an end. But I didn't want Cobra Kai to end. I really thought they could have went, a few more seasons. But at the same time, the actors and actresses portraying these folks are in their 20s. I mean, they can't portray high school kids, for much longer. Um, but I really, really um, I think season 6 really lived up to the hype. I really questioned it last summer when the first 5 episodes came out. Um, I really just wasn't enjoying it as much, and I know my oldest daughter was feeling the same way too. And then after that 5th episode had come out, or after it had ended, then we were like, well, crap, we got to wait 4 more months before the second portion comes out. Well, finally, November, which we binge watched all the episodes in one day whenever they came out, and the the second set of episodes did not disappoint. I mean, it really, really kept you at the edge of your seat. I think the introduction of another um, dojo, referring to the Iron Dragons, that really that was a really big plot twist. And then, in episode 10, when Quan died, it was like, oh, geez, that's one heck of a cliffhanger. Then it's like, golly, now we got to wait God knows how many more months. Well, finally, 3 months later, the last 5 episodes came out. And again, we binge watched all 5 episodes tonight, actually. And I really thought the show ended on a really good note. Um, Johnny wound up getting to win the tournament. Not not just being an All Valley champion, but he was now a world karate champion. Um, I thought it was awesome. Miguel going back to his roots with Cobra Kai. Um, him and really, I was really thinking that maybe Robbie and Sam would win the tournaments for Miyagi Do, but after Miguel and Tori won, I was thinking to myself, well, you know, it makes sense because Miguel won his first All Valley. He used dirty tactics when he fought Robbie in the finals, and then Tori, unfortunately, she didn't find out until after the tournament that Terry Silver had paid off the ref that refereed her match with Samantha at the end of season 4. So it was kind of like it was like a redemption arc, so to speak, and I thought that was incredible to see. Um, and then Johnny and Carmen, they eventually got married and they had their daughter Laura. They finally got that house. Johnny had talked about that, about dreaming of a house in back in season 5. Finally got his house. Tori and Robbie, they got those contracts, advertising and everything, so they could do that together. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Samantha got accepted into that program in Okinawa. Miguel got into Stanford. They wound up traveling to Okinawa. They were good. I'm sorry. Miguel said he was going to spend a few weeks in Okinawa with Samantha. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Dimitri and Hawk, they both wound up going to Caltech together, which I think that's pretty awesome. And I say that because they were best friends. They were victims of bullying themselves. They went their separate ways. Where Hawk became a bully, Dimitri had to learn to defend himself. They wound up reconciling. Um, I thought it was a thought that was pretty cool. One of the things that was really awesome was seeing uh, Dimitri sporting the Cobra Kai gi. He originally was going to join Cobra Kai until Kreese punched him in the face in season 2. That led him to Miyagi Do. But seeing all those Miyagi Do students like well, Samantha and Anthony, they were sporting the Cobra Kai gis. I was like, oh my gosh, this is freaking incredible. Um, yeah, I really thought the show ended on a really good note. Um, I am bummed out that the show did end. Um, I know there's supposed to be a movie coming up with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. Cannot remember the title off the top of my head, but it's basically another Karate Kid movie. And I think Jaden Smith is supposed to be in this film as well, but don't quote me on that. But, you know, like the old saying goes, Cobra Kai never dies. And I really hope Netflix keeps this show on for a while. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to probably do some more binge watching. I hadn't really binge watched the show in probably a couple of years, but I'm going to probably binge watch it here for a little bit. Um, Whenever the time comes and Netflix decides to pull it, then you know what? Cobra Kai had a hell of a run, and it'll remain in the memories of all the fans of Cobra Kai, both new and old. Um, I could probably talk about this for hours, but I definitely don't want to bore you listeners with all that. But it's not only the show wasn't only about karate; it was about overcoming adversity, overcoming obstacles, rising above. Not being a victim of your circumstances. And I think that's what drew me to that show so much is you see not only all the obstacles and adversities like, Miguel and Tori and Robbie endured, but also Johnny. And you know what, Daniel, yes, I know Daniel was, some people view Daniel as the villain in Cobra Kai at times, but Daniel dealt with a lot of adversity as well, and he rose above. I mean, a lot of, you know, quite a few of the characters um, endured, and don't let your circumstances dictate who you are as a person. Everybody has a choice in life. You can sit back and think about that one instance where you felt defeated, felt like you were a loser, or you can get up, keep fighting, keep pushing forward, and never looking back. But that is pretty much my general take on Cobra Kai. I could definitely do. I've thought about doing a wide variety of things. I've thought about doing a what if. Um, maybe doing a synopsis on the episodes. Um, thought about talking about movies. Um, and again, like I stated earlier, professional wrestling's been my number one passion. And I'm actually involved with a local independent promotion. Now, I'm not a wrestler, so let me throw that out there. I just do the commentating. Um, but one of my good friends actually asked me to get involved with the promotion. And I've told him that I've really had an interest in doing podcasting and maybe doing what they call shoot interviews. And if you are not aware of what a shoot interview is, you basically talk to a wrestler and they just shoot it straight with you. You ask them questions. Um, they they tell you X, Y, and Z. Like how they got into the business and where all they've worked at, who they've worked with, etc. So thinking about maybe doing some of that and talk with some of the guys that are in this promotion that I'm a part of. But we'll just have to wait and see. Um, anyways, I do. If you happen to listen to this episode, definitely thank you for taking the time out to listen to it. And again, I'm not a I'm not an experienced podcaster. This is my very first podcast, and not really sure how all this works. But again, if you happen to give this a listen to, it's much appreciated. And be on the lookout for future episodes. Take care and God bless. This is Grizzly signing out.